Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're turning our attention to a seriously under-the-radar spot in Indonesia's Bangka Belitung archipelago. I'm talking about Gelasa Island. From the surface, it looks like this utterly quiet, uninhabited gem. But just beneath the waves, there is a bustling, vibrant underwater metropolis. And right now, that incredible marine ecosystem is undergoing a vital health screening. You know how we go to the doctor for an annual checkup? Well, marine scientists have basically been taking the vital signs of this reef to see exactly how it's holding up against environmental changes and human impacts. It is a fascinating look into marine biology, and we're going to break down exactly what they found.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll explore the treasure that is Gelasa Island. Second, we'll do a coral reef health check. Third, we'll review the 4-station report card. Fourth, we'll look at the resilience of Acropora and Poraites corals. And finally, we'll discuss the concrete steps needed to save the coral.
Section 1. Harta Karun Pulau Gelasa.
So, Gelasa Island sits pretty quietly in the Central Bangka Regency. It spans about 210 hectares, and as you can probably guess from its thick green canopy, it has 0 permanent human inhabitants. But what we are really interested in are the fringing reefs, or Karang tepi, that completely surround the island. Spanning roughly 127 hectares, these reefs are incredibly productive ecosystems. They act as a critical fishing ground and a vital nursery for just countless marine species. Because it's so far off from the main island of Bangka, it retains a lot of its pristine natural state, which makes it a huge draw for local fishermen. But as we'll see, that attraction also brings some serious risks that need our attention.
Section 2. Cek Kesehatan Terumbu Karang.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how scientists figure out if the reef is healthy. They treat the ecosystem exactly like a patient. To get its vital signs, they use something called the Line Intercept Transect, or LIT method. I want you to imagine a doctor's measuring tape, but unrolled for 50 meters underwater by scuba divers at depths of 3 to 9 meters. The technical challenge here is just immense. Divers literally have to swim along this exact line, fighting the current, and record every single life form they cross, centimeter by centimeter. In Gelasa, they meticulously identified 20 different growth forms and 20 distinct genera of hard coral. They tally up the living coral, the dead coral, the sand, the algae, the whole shebang to get a precise mathematical picture of the reef's health.
Through all that meticulous underwater measuring, scientists calculate a crucial vital sign called the Coral Mortality Index, or IMK. For those of us who aren't marine biologists, tourists, and locals alike, you can just think of it as a ratio of life to death. It's calculated by dividing the percentage of dead coral by the total of live plus dead coral. If that number is 0 or super close to it, the coral is perfectly healthy, no death happening. But as that number creeps closer to 1.0, it means a severe illness has set in. Living, breathing coral is dying off and turning into lifeless rock.
Section 3. Report Karang Empat Station. Let's take a tour around the hospital ward of Gelasa's 4 cardinal directions and get the actual diagnosis.
The big headline finding is this. Across the entire island, the live coral cover ranges from 40.3% to 62.06%. Now, according to official environmental standards, this means the overall health of Gelasa Island's reefs currently ranges from moderate to good. So, it's not in critical failure, which is great news, but it's definitely far from perfect. Let's break down exactly where it's thriving and where it's, well, struggling.
So, the crucial point is really clear when we look across our 4 observation stations. Station 1 in the east and Station 4 in the south boast high live coral cover, categorizing them as baik, or good, with very low mortality indexes of 0.33 and 0.36. But look at Station 2 in the north and Station 3 in the west. The live cover drops into the 40s. These zones are merely sedang, or moderate, and their mortality indexes spike up to 0.50 and 0.56. That essentially means half of the coral in those specific areas is shifting toward death.
There is just a stark contrast on this single, small island. I mean, why is the eastern reef thriving at over 62% health, while the western reef is highly damaged, barely holding on at 40%? What is causing that massive gap? The answer, unfortunately, comes down to us, human activity.
Let's start with the healthiest area, Station 1 in the east, near Pasir Penyu Beach. This spot is actually a natural nesting ground for sea turtles. During nesting season, locals from Baraga village come here in small boats to hunt for turtle eggs.
What the researchers found is that the minor reef damage here is solely from these small boats coming in and out. So even in the healthiest zone, human interaction leaves a trace. But because the overall human footprint is light, the ecosystem remains highly resilient, and it keeps that mortality index incredibly low.
But then we travel over to the west, to Station 3. This area suffers from high mortality, and it's driven entirely by destructive human negligence. Researchers found beautiful reefs turned into broken rubble. Why? Because of fish bombs used for easy catches. They found massive damage from heavy boat anchors just being carelessly dropped directly onto the fragile ecosystem. They also found ghost fishing, which is when abandoned fishing nets get tangled tight around the corals, literally suffocating them. It's a tragic transformation from a vibrant habitat to an underwater graveyard. And similarly, up in the north at Station 2, heavy boat traffic from fishermen seeking shelter from bad weather has led to high numbers of overturned and broken corals.
Section 4. Ketahanan Acropora dan Porites.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is seeing how the reef actually fights back. Out of the 20 genera of hard coral found at Gelasa, 2 stand out with very, very different survival strategies. On one side, we have the genus Acropora. Think of Acropora corals as the sprinters. They are fast-growing, they're visually stunning, but they are incredibly fragile. They rely heavily on strong ocean currents, and if sediment falls on them, they are highly vulnerable to dying. On the other side, we have the genus Porites. Porites are the marathon runners. They are highly tolerant, incredibly tough, and they were the only genus resilient enough to be found thriving across all 4 observation stations. The reason porites can survive everywhere, even in the heavily damaged zones, is because they have a biological superpower. When sand and suffocating sediment get kicked up by boat anchors or ocean turbulence, porites use these tiny, microscopic hairs called cilia. They literally sweep their own surfaces clean. They act as natural sediment cleaners. In fact, research shows that porites can be completely buried under suffocating sediment for 3 full days and still successfully recover. It's exactly this resilience that is keeping Gelasa's struggling reef zones alive.
Let's move to Section 5, Langkah Nyata Menyelamatkan Karang, and see how this builds from the diagnosis we just made to the crucial prescription for the future.
Now, for the island managers, and particularly for the local fishermen whose livelihoods depend entirely on these waters, it's absolutely crucial to understand that these steps are not meant to be punishments. They are vital actions to secure your own long-term future. We have to stop destructive bomb fishing immediately. It literally destroys the nursery that breeds your catch. Instead of dropping heavy anchors onto the reef, we need to install and actually use designated mooring buoys. We have to organize cleanups to remove those suffocating ghost nets. And finally, in heavily trafficked sheltering zones like Pisang, boat movements need to be managed carefully so hulls and anchors don't overturn the reef. Doing this preserves the fishing grounds, and honestly, it opens up amazing future potential for ecotourism.
So what does this all mean? We've seen the data. We know exactly what is harming the reefs of Gelasa Island, and more importantly, we know exactly how to fix it. The coral is fighting hard to survive, using every biological trick it has, like those